FRC held its Lift Up Life event. It was an online event. It was a day to mark a day of prayer and fasting for life. We're praying to see a change in our policies and a change in the hearts of the American people so that we see abortion becoming truly not just a court decision of the past, but a behavior of the past. And one of the things that needs to happen, and we're going to talk more about that in just a moment, but is the abortion pill that is now being sent across state lines into pro-life states. It is nullifying all these pro-life laws. All right. And so we held this event to pray, and we have many leaders from different organizations praying. And so if you'd like to be a part of that, you can find it. It's still up on the app, the Stand Firm app. Okay. So go to the Stand Firm app, and you can check that out. You can still pray, even if you don't go and watch it on the app. But be praying. Be praying. Be praying for our president, his administration, that they would make the right decisions and sometimes the difficult decisions, right? And some of them are fearful of this issue. We just need to pray that they would have a greater reverence for life and for God than a fear of man and the polls, all right? And here's another reason they should consider this. According to a new study, this at-home abortion process is contaminating the American water supply. We were just talking about that with Senator Lankford. So how significant, though, is this threat? Well, here to discuss this, John Stemberger, president of Liberty Counsel Action, which just released this new report. John, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Tony, it's great to be with you again.
Well, we were just discussing with Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma his inquiry and request for the EPA to study this. What should they be looking at and looking for?
Well, the problem is they haven't done anything. In the year 2000, when this group called the Population Council proposed it, and the Population Council is a biased group, it's a nonprofit, big money, pro-abortion group. They claimed they did an environmental analysis. Tony, they did nothing. They studied there were no academic study, there was no scientific study. They just looked at the labeling. They said it's going to have an insubstantial impact. Well, in 2000, nobody was using the chemical abortion pill. Now, it's over 70% of all abortions. This is the vast majority of abortions are done by a woman taking this pill, putting it in her mouth, literally seeing traumatically the baby enter the toilet, her own dead child, and having to interact with that. So the trauma on the woman is exponentially horrible. But this is happening 70,000 times a year. Students for Life has estimated that somewhere between 30 to 40 tons of medical waste, and I hate to use that word because I don't want to devalue the human dignity of that child, but that's human waste. That's biohazard waste, medical waste, going into toilets, going into sewer systems, going into septic tanks, and ultimately going into the water systems that actually process our drinking water. We don't know what the impact of this is. We know that these wastewater plants are not designed to handle human remains. There's several reports of them finding fetal remains in there. So that's the one problem. The second problem is this mifepristone. This becomes an active metabolite, which means it doesn't dissolve in the woman's body completely. It has a lifespan. It's a lethal drug, which actually attacks progesterone and kills the baby. So if this is still in our drinking water, the question is this affecting people? Is it affecting our infertility rate, which seems to be also increasing? There's a correlation here. We don't know if there's correlation between the infertility rate and the increase in chemical abortions. So there's just so many questions, but the EPA and the FDA both need to study this. We're appealing to them. We're appealing to the president because, they're appointed by the president. They serve as the president. We know, Tony, as you know, the president has committed to clean water. He said that over and over again. He's held bottles of water in his hand at rallies, so we want crystal clear, clean water. But he also has a nuanced position with chemical abortion. And we think that when he sees the facts, this is a truth that when you see this, you can't unsee this, Tony. I mean, when you realize this is going into our water system, this is kind of a big deal. But nobody knows the real impact because we haven't done any studies.
So John, as you pointed out, we go back to the year 2000 when the Clinton administration approved mifepristone as one of the two abortion chemicals. You say in 25 years, there's been no study of the effect upon this of the environment or the water supply.
That's right. And tell me, here's the thing. Every time there's a change, like when the gestational age jumps from 7 to 10 weeks, They should do another environmental analysis. They haven't done any. There's at least at least a half dozen places where they should have did a new environmental analysis. They have not done anything. So we're asking the EPA, we're asking the FDA, we're asking the President of the United States to turn to those secretaries and say, hey, please study this. I mean, they can turn on a switch and study the impact of mifepristone in the water along with other chemicals that they may be looking at as well. It's very simple, but it's controversial. We need to put pressure on the government to do that.
The government studies everything. This is something they should be studying. I mean, a clean water supply is extremely important, and we just have about a minute left. But the point I want to make sure people heard what you said. This could be contributing to the infertility rates in the United States. We talk there's been all this controversy about IVF because people can't conceive. The problem may be in our water. It's not that, you hear the old joke, well, they're drinking the water, getting pregnant. Well, they're drinking the water and they're not getting pregnant.
Yeah. I mean, look, the EPA tells you shouldn't even put baby wipes down the toilet, and we're allowing the abortion industry to instruct women to literally put their own babies in the toilet. And you're talking about, tons and tons of cranial development, placenta, blood, tissue that's very significant that has no place in those. And so this would be a national scandal if it were in the context. But because it's this issue, everybody's like hands off.
It kind of reminds me of the verse, "The wages of sin is death," and all of society pays a price when we violate the truth of God. John Stemberger, great work on this report, and thanks so much for joining us today to share it.
Go to abortioninourwater.org to get the full report.